worship freely. Do I have any free worshipers out there? Go ahead and make space to worship him. God, we worship you today. God, we honor you today. We worship you freely. And we thank you, God. Free to dance and sing. Free to lift my hands and worship. Lord, I'm free. Lord, I'm free. Free to dance and sing. Free to lift my hands and worship. Lord, I'm free. Lord, I'm free. Say with me, free.
Free to dance and sing.
Oh.
Free to lift my hands and worship. Lord, I'm free.
Are you free?
Lord, I'm free.
Oh, free.
Free to dance.
Yes, free.
Free to lift
I'm
my
so
hands
free.
and worship. Lord, I'm
Yeah. Come on, why? I'm a free worshiper.
free worshiper.
Come on, we're free.
Free worshiper.
I'm so free.
I'm a free worshiper.
Yeah, Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
I'm a free worshiper.
I'm a free worshiper.
Yes, I'm free.
I'm a free worshiper.
I'm so free.
I'm a free worshiper.
Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
Say, I'm a free worshiper.
free worshiper.
I can lift my
I'm a
hands
free worshiper.
and worship freely.
I'm a free worshiper.
Lord, I'm free.
Lord, I'm free.
Say, free to dance.
Free to dance.
If you're free, go ahead and dance.
Free to lift
Go
my
ahead.
hands and worship.
Yeah.
Lord, I'm
Yes, I'm so free. Go ahead and dance wherever you are. I'm free to dance.
free to dance.
So I'm gonna do my
Free to
dance.
lift my hands and worship.
Yeah,
Lord,
Lord. Yeah, Lord. 'Cause I'm a free worshiper.
free worshiper.
Yes, I'm
I'm a free
free.
worshiper.
No chains holding
I'm a free
me.
worshiper.
Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
I'm a free worshiper.
free worshiper.
I'm free. I'm
I'm a free
free.
worshiper.
Yes, I'm free. I'm
I'm a
free.
free worshiper.
Lord,
Lord,
I'm a free worshiper.
I'm a free worshiper.
I can lift my
I'm a
hands.
free worshiper.
I can shout to the top of my lungs. Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
I'm a free worshiper.
worshiper.
Yes, I
I'm a
am.
free worshiper.
Free.
I'm a free worshiper.
Lord.
I'm free.
This should be your declaration. Thank God I'm free, and I'll never be bound again. See, he set you free. You gotta say it. Say, thank God I'm free, and I'll never be bound again. Because you set me free. Say, thank God,
Thank God I'm free.
and I'll never.
And I'll never be bound again.
Get it in your spirit, get it in your spirit. Say, thank God.
Thank
Thank
God
God
I'm
I'm
free.
free.
And I'll
Never be
be
bound.
bound
Come on.
again.
Say, thank God, thank God. Oh, thank you, Lord. Oh, thank
Thank God I'm
God.
free.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you,
And
Lord.
I'll
I'm free. I'm
be
free.
bound
I'm
again.
free. I'm free. Oh, thank you, Lord. I'm free.
Thank God
Oh,
I'm
I'm
free.
free. Yes.
And I'll
I'll
be
never.
bound
Why?
again.
Because I'm a free worshiper.
Free worshiper.
Yes, I'm free.
I'm a free worshiper. I'm a free worshiper.
Say, Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
Thank you for setting me
free
free.
worshiper.
I am free.
I'm a free worshiper.
Yes, I'm a free worshiper.
Free worshiper.
Yeah, Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
Take it up.
I'm
Say, I'm a free.
I'm a free worshiper. I'm a free worshiper.
Come on, how do you worship?
I'm a free worshiper.
Yeah. Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
I'm a free worshiper.
free worshiper.
Yeah.
I'm a free worshiper.
Free worshiper.
I'm a free worshiper.
Say, Lord, I'm free.
Lord, I'm
Say, Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
Say, Lord, I'm free.
Lord,
And I thank you for setting me.
Lord,
And I thank you for setting me.
Lord, I'm free.
Lord, I'm free. Lord, I'm free. No more chains holding me. I won't hold back. No, I won't be silent. I won't hold back. No, I won't be silent.
is up? Even if you're a friend of the house, we welcome you to the City Church of Goldsboro Cyber Sanctuary. I am Mac Murray, and I'm happy to welcome you here on today. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know, if you have rocked with us anytime within the past year or so, you know that our Cyber Sanctuary experience is one like no other. You get amazing worship with Sound of the City, and you get unbelievable messages, not only from Pastor Terry and Lady J, but some of their best, God's best, bringing you the heat like we know can come from even our pastor. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go ahead and make yourself ready, get all the distractions out the way. Go ahead and consider your generosity towards the City Church of Goldsboro. Text your amount to 84321. We guarantee you that not only is this good ground, but you can also bet that whatever God is going to do with your seed is going to come back 1,000 fold. So I'm asking you to go ahead and share this. Make sure that someone in your circle sees this and enjoys this. Tag someone on your social media. You can even go to YouTube, follow our page, City Church of Goldsboro, and I promise you that someone in your circle will immensely enjoy the experience coming your way. So ladies and gentlemen, without no further ado, we're getting ready to go ahead and get started with our worship experience, and you're going to receive an amazing word coming your way. So tell somebody before you do anything else, let them know that City Church of Goldsboro is live and they need to be in the place. We love you and we hope to see you in the room.
Acts 27, 43 and 44, it says, he ordered all who could swim to jump overboard first and make for land. The others held on to planks or debris from the broken ship. Somebody say broken ship. So everyone escaped safely to shore. If I could tag a title for today's text, it will be Life Beyond the Break. Fight, flight, or freeze, you can be seated, is your body's natural reaction to danger. This is a type of stress response that helps you react to perceived threats. Threats like oncoming cars, growling dogs, the turbulence of an airplane, or the beautiful blue lights and loud sirens that are heading your way. There are crucial points in life where you have to decide from these three. These changes force you to act quickly to protect yourself. It's considered a survival's instinct that our ancient ancestors developed many years ago. Fight or flight is an active defense response where you either choose to A, fight, or flee. Your heart rate begins to pump a little bit faster. Oxygen increases to your major muscles. Your pain perception drops and your hearing sharpens. Freezing is fight or flight on hold, where you're further prepared to protect yourself. It's also called reactive immobility or attentive immobility. It has similar physiological changes, but instead you completely stay still or you get ready for your next move. Apostle Paul, in our pregnant passage today, he finds himself in another unpromising situation. After returning from a missionary journey, Apostle Paul is now having to return to the beautiful city of Jerusalem. Whenever he hits the ground in Jerusalem, he's immediately arrested and he's sent to Rome, where he's tried and transported to appear in the Roman court. En route, he finds himself in a sticky situation, an unpromising situation, a cloudy situation. Is there anyone in here today whose plans have been interrupted? Your plans have been disturbed. Your plans have been altered. Your plans have been rearranged on your way. You were on your way to bigger. You were on your way to better. You were on your way to brighter, and then life hit you. Life hit you. I know it's early on in this text, but do I have anyone in here today that says, give me Christ without the circumstances? Give me a relationship without the rigor. Give me the experience with Christ without the excruciating pain. What I found out in Acts 27 is that there is two critical components to the pursuit of purpose. Component number one, that faith doesn't spare you from adversity. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how great you've been. Heck, it doesn't even matter how good God is to you. When life happens, life is going to hit you, and you have two choices: to look down or look up. Component number two, you can't abort your destination because the journey becomes to look unclear. It's cloudy. So while looking at this text, I just want to have a conversation with you. I pulled out 7 tips that I found in this particular passage to help you weather any storm. Can we go ahead and get started? Acts 27, we're going to start at the 20th verse. It reads, "The terrible storm raged for many days, blotting out the sun and the stars until at last all hope was gone." I had a problem already looking at this particular passage, because you're telling me that we have a young apostle named Paul doing ministry for Christ. He's now having to go to a Roman prison to appear in the court, and as he's on his way, he's into a storm. He's into a cloudy situation. And what I realized while looking at this text is it showed us that sun nor stars appeared. Do you know how it feels like to be in the eye of a storm, where it's no sun, there's no rain, it's just a depressive state? And what you have to come to the realization is Paul and the sailors were on the ship, and then they didn't have a GPS. They couldn't depend on Siri. They had to use the sun and the stars for their direction. And I have come to the understanding in life that whenever it becomes stormy, I need to figure out where to go. I need some type of sense of direction to direct and order my paths. But now Paul is in an unpromising situation where he says, it's beginning to look a little unclear for me. But what you have to realize when you're weathering a storm, that God makes no mistakes. I told you earlier that life happens, but God makes no mistakes. The comfortable thing that I have living my life for Christ is that I know that I'm at the right place at the right time in the right storm, serving the right God. Do I have anybody in here today that says, I'm so glad that I'm in the right place? I'm serving the right God. Life has presented 2 types of storms. Storm number 1 is enemy-appointed storms. Ask Job. Storms where he's wanting to torture and torment you, but he can't touch you. That's what the enemy's plan is to torture you and torment you, but he can't touch you. Second type of storm is God-orchestrated storms. Storms where God did this. But what you have to come to the realization is that God allows things to happen in your life for a reason. All things are caused by him or allowed by him for his own purpose and his own timing. It's his perfect will. It's his perfect timing. And what we have to be able to be sure in our walk with Christ is even though God is immensely good, bad things are bound to happen. The one thing that I have an issue with as Christians is oftentimes we always say that the devil did it. No, the devil did not always do it. You forgot to turn off the stove. Life just happened. Any cook will let you know that you have to know that whenever I put it in, the 2 most important things is time and temperature. When I'm cooking anything, it's time and it's temperature. And what you have to know is after it's been cooked for a while, it's going to come out ready. And whenever you go through any type of life storm, as long as you got temperature and time, all things are going to work together for the good. I'm in the right storm. Can somebody say I'm in the right storm? No one had eaten for a long time. Finally, Paul called the crew together and said, men, you should have listened to me in the first place. Do I got any I told you so saints in the room? Whenever you told somebody, look, I told you not to do that. I told you not to date them. I told you not to get that car. I told you so. Saints, Paul says you should have listened to me in the first place and not left Crete. You would have avoided all of this damage and loss, but take courage. None of you will lose your lives, even though the ship will go down. Now, I struggle with verse 22 because I'm like, Paul, for one, you're bashing me because I didn't listen to you. And now you're telling me that I'm not going to lose my life, but I'm about to be in an accident. Has anybody ever took a cruise or been on a boat with Anthony and he's flying and you're going each and every way and you feel like you're about to lose your life? And you're telling me that in all of this water, I'm going to break, but I'm not going to die? I had an issue with Paul in this text because I'm like, Paul, how can you give them this type of encouragement? They don't have anything to look forward to. And what I realized that life presents kairos collisions. Kairos is basically a time when the conditions are right for the accomplishment of a crucial action. The opportune and decisive moment. Paul teaches us that we have to know in our Christianity walk that we have to have common sense and courage. That when life hits you, have common sense and you have courage. Let's go back and look at a kairos collision. When bad things happen, good is supposed to come out of it. And there are certain instances in life where you have to display a different type of strength and faith. I've come here just to encourage a believer today that it's okay to have faith and walk in fear just a little bit, because at the end of the day, I know whose hands my life is in. Having faith, and you can be fearful, but I trust God, because God is going to allow all things to work together for the good. For the good, not the bad, not the uneasy, but the good. And we, as Christians, have to understand that when life hits us and we feel like we're at rock bottom, we still serve a great and a mighty God. And it says, so take courage, for I believe God, it will be just as he said. I just want to take a moment right now. I know it's early on in my text, but I want to prophetically decree and declare over your life that it's going to be just what God said for you. You may not see it. You may not understand it. It may not seem like it's working out for you, but Paul has encouraged me that it's going to be just what he said. I may not see the end. I don't even know how it's going to be at the end, but I know that the God that I serve is going to take good care of me. For I believe God. And what you have to realize when you're trying to weather any type of storm is that there's a process to the provisions of God. You tell me that you want it easy. I don't want it easy. Why would I serve a God to give me every single handout that I desire? You're not making me work for anything. But anything in life, you have to go through a process. There's a process for you to get that in which you deserve. You just can't join the military and think that you're going to be a master chief. No, you're not. That's not going to happen. You're not just going to walk on a job when somebody's been there with multiple degrees and you not have to go through the process. In order for you to get that in which you desire, you've got to go through some things. And do I have any old saints in here that can attest that I've been through life, I've been through thick and thin, and I'm so sick and tired of these young Christians that think that they can have it easy? You got to work for what you want. You will never be prepared enough. Stop it. You will never be prepared enough. Somebody told me before that you will never be prepared enough for marriage. That you will never be prepared enough to have kids. You will never be prepared enough to purchase a house. But what I have to realize is although I will never be prepared, I'll be preparing. I'll be preparing. Because no one told me that in year 3 of our marriage that we would have a young baby born 2 months early and we would have to spend 21 days in the NICU. Nobody prepared me. No one told me that for 75% of my life I will not have a relationship with my biological father. No one prepared me. But what I realize is that there is a process to the provisions of God. But for many of you, because I was like you too, I've waved my hands and I said, Paul, get me off this shit. You're telling me that while I'm in troubled waters, that I'm going to break this ship, but I'm going to survive. I don't see it. I don't see how a way is going to be made. I just don't understand it. But what you have to realize and be stern in your faith is that there's always something along the road that's going to cause you to make an adjustment. And how you adjust in life's storms is critical. Make an adjustment. Not make an excuse, make an adjustment. God uses unusual situations, unqualified candidates for a unique purpose. Do I have anybody in here today that says, I am a part of the winner's circle? I'm a part of the survival circle. I've survived the thick. I've survived the thin. I don't know how I survived, but I'm a part of the winner's circle. You have to understand that God will not leave you in the storm without the right tools and resources to get through the storm. Paul then tells us, then the sailors tried to abandon the ship. They lowered the lifeboats as though they were going to put out anchors from the front of the ship. Paul said to the commanding officer and the soldiers, you all will die unless the sailors stay aboard. So now Paul is in a situation where he's given them the correct information to encourage them, but it went in one ear and out the other. And how many times in your life where you've been in a sticky situation that you forgot the words that God has spoken over your life? It bothers me as Christians how often we receive promises of God that are spoken over our life, but whenever situations happen and whenever life becomes uneasy, we seemingly forget. And what if God treated us like we treated him? And the Lord is convicting me in this message because I even think about times whenever my daughter does something, I'm like, didn't I tell you this? You just forgot what I just told you? But why can't I apply that in my relationship with Christ? Where God says, I told you that I would never leave you nor forsake you. It's in the word, it's in the book, but whenever the going gets rough, you seemingly forget. And what we have to do is understand the tenacity of stick-to-itness. The tenacity of stick-to-itness. Life has taught me to stay the course. You know what it feels like whenever you're in a situation where you want to quit early on. Do I have anybody that has ever played a game, any type of card game before, and while you're playing, because you're a sore loser, you quit early on? Quit early on. Meanwhile, you failed to realize that you had the winning cards in your hand the entire time, but you could not see what they see. So instead of that, I'm going to walk away to lose myself from the embarrassment, but God was working on my behalf the entire time. The greatest battles that are won in life, you have scars to prove that you've been through some things. And I love the miraculous design of how God created us, because those scars in my life show me that I've been through it, but it did not have me, because God is a keeper. He's a keeper. He kept me in danger seen and unseen. Paul has said it, and I'm so thankful that I can use these scars to look at it and remember that God is always on my side. Stick to it. Don't quit. Acts Acts 27:34 says, please eat something now for your own good, for not a hair of your heads will perish. So some of y'all need to get some Pauls in your life. You need some friends that are Pauls, because this entire text has shown me how encouraging Paul was for the people that were seemingly connected to him. And what we fail to realize in this scripture, these was a group of prisoners. They came from all parts of the world. So Paul is encouraging somebody who has no benefit to him at all. Get some Pauls in your life. Please eat. Did I tell you that the prisoners, the crewmen, and the captain failed to eat for 14 days? 14 days they had no food. 14 days they had no water at all. They failed to eat because of what they saw presently in front of them. And how many of you today are malnourished? You're malnourished because life is showing you cars that you never thought you would see at your age. You're malnourished. But today I've come to encourage you that I need for you to eat. I need for you to eat because it's critical to your survival. Paul tells them that God told me to let you know that not a hair from your head will perish. That's an idiom. An idiom is basically a type of word where it doesn't really have real meaning to it. So this idiom basically was saying that you are going to be preserved without harm. What does preserved mean? Preserved means that you are set apart. So Paul is telling them that you're set apart for this cause. You're set apart for this process that God is taking you through. Hold your head up. You're preserved for this. I am God's prophet today, letting you know that you're not going to die. And God is using this particular moment that you're dealing with in life to preserve you, and you shall not be harmed. Because when we realize this particular idiom, it's basically meaning that I'm placing you in your original state. And as I place you purposely in your original state, you're going to come out better. You're going to come out brighter than what you've ever been, because God has his hands on you. And I am so thankful that although I wrestle with God like Jacob, he never took his hands off of me. He's been with me the entire time. I want you to understand that eating is critical for your survival. It's critical that you eat. Whatever you have done before, I need you to eat. 14 days, I don't care. 14 weeks, I don't care. 14 months, I don't care. 14 years, I don't care. Because my question for you today is simple. In unwavering seasons, what has been your source of strength? 14 days eating nothing. 14 days starving to death. 14 days malnourished. How are you strengthening yourself? 3 years dealing with that same situation that happened in your childhood. How are you strengthening yourself? 3 weeks of not talking to him or her. How are you strengthening yourself? Survive. You have to survive. It's critical. How many lives, good God Almighty, how many lives are depending upon your survival? You're telling me that you have a captain on a ship that has gone 14 days malnourished, and you have people on the boat, you have to get them to the destination, and you are failing to eat? Who's on your boat today because you failed to eat and now they're depending on you? It's critical for your survival. Tip number 5, critical to your survival, do your part. Your part is necessary. After eating, they finally ate. After eating, the crew lightened the ship further by throwing the cargo of wheat overboard. So now we see the text for what it is. Paul has told them that I need you to eat. I need you to strengthen yourself. After you've eaten, get yourself up and throw the rest overboard. I have a problem with that because you went on a tangent. You told me how necessary it was for my survival. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be on this ship, and whatever's left, I have to throw it overboard. And there's things in your life that you're carrying that are leftovers. In order for you to lighten your load in this season, there are some things, there are some places, there are some people that you have to throw overboard. Dead weight, throw them overboard. Struggles, throw it overboard. Situations, throw it overboard because it's necessary for you to survive. Don't believe me? Look in Scripture. Look at Samuel with his Nazirite vow. Look in the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter. Abram, where he had to leave everything behind. And there's things that you have to leave in one season to be able to get to your next. There are some people that can't go with you in some seasons because they are dead weight. Throw it overboard. And when morning dawned, they didn't recognize the coastline. But they saw a bay with a beach and wondered if they could get to shore by running the ship aground. So they cut off the anchors and left them in the sea. Then they lowered the rudders, raised the foresail, and headed toward shore. But they hit a shoal and ran the ship aground too soon. The bow of the ship stuck fast while the stern was repeatedly smashed by the force of winds and began to break. The soldiers wanted to kill the prisoners to make sure they didn't swim ashore and escape. So now, Paul tells them, throw everything overboard, all of the leftovers. Now, when they wake up and they see where they're heading at, they say, I'm still attempting to maneuver this ship on my own. Because when you look in this particular text, the 39th through the 42nd verse, you see that you have a group of people who are not captains. And the only thing that they try to do is they're selfish enough to figure out what is it going to take for me to survive. I'm throwing it overboard. And whenever they threw it overboard and they tried to run aground, it still didn't work. And I need for you to take your hands off of it. For my brothers, take your hands off of it, because oftentimes we have a sense of control where we try to figure out how to work things out for our benefit. Take your hands off of it because you're not doing anything with it. You're useless. You're pointless trying to figure it out when you have a God who looks high, sits low, and he's controlling everything. Take your hands off of it. As you realize in this particular text, we see that the prisoners now are facing whether they need to jump ship to save themselves. And as they're attempting to figure this out, to jump the ship, there's somebody that steps in the way. But the problem that I had in this particular text, and the problem that many of you had, is for you failed to remember the details. Didn't we just read in this particular passage where Paul specifically told them that you're about to go through this, but you're not going to die? And how many times in uncloudy and unwavering seasons, whenever you was close to colliding with life, you forgot what God said over you? Don't forget the details. When life presents you problems, your ear is most critical. What are you hearing? Let alone who are you hearing it from? Somebody told me before that why would I go get marriage advice from somebody who isn't even married? What type of advice are you going to give me? You're not going to be any type of help. Why would I go get advice from somebody who doesn't have kids? How are you going to help me? I need for you in this season to make sure you surround yourself around seasoned people. People that will be able to put your heart at their heart and give you the best interest that you need to survive in this life. God creates storms in your life to test your level of remembering. I told you earlier that there's two types of storms: enemy appointed and God orchestrated. And in this particular text, this particular storm is God orchestrated. God did this. So what am I going to do after God has done this? I remember whenever I was teaching, early on in my teaching career, teachers used to always come to me and say, hey, are you giving your kids a pre-assessment? I'm like, what is a pre-assessment? I'm only teaching what's in this book. I gave them a pre-assessment. A pre-assessment basically tests your prior knowledge. I want to know, what do you understand before even presenting and introducing you to something new? So for me, pre-assessments was fun. Oh, you don't know how to do this? Oh, I'm about to put this problem on the board. I'm going to look at you stress out. I'm going to look at you trying to figure it out. I'm looking at you saying, Mr. Jones, I don't understand. I've never seen this before. Pre-assessments. But being a good teacher that I am, check my track record now. Being a good teacher that I am, I provided them with the lesson to prepare them for something that we called exit tickets, right? Exit tickets. Exit tickets is now me testing what you remembered or what I taught you during this whole time in class. Exit tickets. Exit tickets are coupled with different things. I can put a problem on the board. I can make them right on their desk. Who's doing what we do. And a lot of my students thought that they will be able to survive the exit tickets. Because for me, I'm smart. Prior knowledge, I put the problem on the board. Exit ticket, I'm just changing some numbers. So now I taught you, I prepared you for this particular moment in time, and now you have everything that you have. You have your notes, you have group lessons, you have activities where you could have done it on your own. Are you going to be able to get it right? Lo and behold, they didn't. Had me looking bad. Don't let an administrator come in. I'm like, come on, man, y'all making me look bad. But I had to realize that in order for you to figure this out, I had to show you it again. And God gives us exit tickets in life, because that exit ticket literally gave them the ability to exit my classroom to go to their next class. And for many of us, we fail exit ticket seasons and we're not qualified or able to go into our next because we failed to remember. And I need for you to understand that for every single detail God has etched in your life, you need to apply it. Because for many of us, when everything is good, when everything is grand, we know everything is great, we don't have to worry about anything. We come to church lackadaisical, we don't take notes, we don't read our Bible because life is good. But what happens when life hits, when the pandemic hits, and the only thing I can look at is the word on YouTube, and I can't dwell amongst brothers? It's critical for your survival. You will never know when a storm is going to come in your life. But I need for you to be prepared for whenever it happens. 43rd verse says, but the commanding officers wanted to spare Paul, so he didn't let them carry out their plan. Then he ordered all who could swim to jump overboard first and make for land. He didn't allow them to carry out their plan. He didn't allow them to carry out their plan. There was favor on the boat that Paul didn't even realize. Because the commanding officer saw that there was something valuable and something special about him, and he needed him to survive. So all of the plans that everybody else had, it will not work, it will not happen, because it's critical for his survival. And I want to encourage you today that you to understand that you are too valuable to God. You are too valuable to God. Whatever the enemy has planned for your life, consider it canceled. It's canceled. He's not going to take your kids. He's not going to take your mind. He's not going to take your health. Consider it canceled. There's no way in the world it's going to be able to happen because God is making a way for you before you even know it. And what I realized is that whenever you are favored by God, nothing can get in the way. Not anything, not no one, not no place, not no circumstances, not no situation, not no disease, not no bill, no marriage, no kids, no friends, no wreck, no accident. Nothing can get in your way because you're valuable to God. You are a critical piece to his collection. The others held on to planks or debris from the broken ship. So everyone escaped safely to shore. Somebody say it held you up. When we think about this particular ship, the way the ship was designed, these boards made the ship what it was. So now we understand that although my life is seeming like it's in shambles, when it seems like I'm about to be in a wreck with this particular ship, the pieces that I'm holding on to is what's going to keep me. And I want us to understand that we have life beyond the break. Life beyond the break. You're too strong to give up that easy. You're too smart to give up that easy. You're connected to too many good people to give up that easy. You're a part of a praying church. You are a part of a praying ministry. You are too valuable to give up that easy. And when we look at this particular broken piece, I want you to understand that although the structure has broken, I'm still strong. That you are not going to be broken based upon the way the world designed you to be. Because for many of us, we have to know that we are standing on the promises of God and the fervent prayers of our parents. And I come here to encourage you today that you are here to survive on the broken pieces. The broken pieces is what kept you. The broken pieces is what's allowing you to survive the billows of life. Now, when we talk about Paul and the prisoners getting from ship to shore, the ship was their means of transportation. And whenever the transportation broke, they used what was left to get where they needed to go. 14 days it took them to get from one place to the other. And I want to let you know that it does not matter how long it's taking you to get to shore. I want you to go ahead and give yourself a round of applause and congratulate yourself and say, at least I arrived. It doesn't matter if it took me 3 years to get in this marriage. It doesn't matter if it took me 2 years to get my kids on a straight and narrow. It didn't matter that it took me 5 years to get this house. I arrived. And I want somebody that's standing up I want somebody to stand up today and say, God, I thank you for allowing me to arrive. That time does not matter. It was by the grace of God that I arrived. And in closing, we have to know that there are seasons in life when things are assigned to hold you. And then there are other seasons where you have to hold on. When we think about airplane seats have dual purposes. Purpose number one, to comfort you. When you're traveling in first class with your bougie self, with the leather seats, the lean back, it's here to comfort you for travel. And then airplane seats are purposeful to keep you in the midst of trouble. That even in the event of a deployment, the seat is supposed to be used as a flotation device. And today, I want us to know that whenever we think about faith, it's going to communicate one simple point. That if this plane was to go down, I'm still going to be able to survive the breaking. Because it has dual purposes to either A, help me understand that I'm here to survive, or B, whenever I'm trying to find myself breathing beyond the break, I'm just going to hold on. And I need somebody here today to encourage a brother or a sister to say that life has brought me a lot of lemons, but I made lemonade, and I'm here to hold on. I'm here to hold on. I'm here to hold on because there's better ahead of me. I'm here to hold on because God has called me to be able to do something and he's not through with me yet. I'm here to hold on because my babies are depending on me. I'm here to hold on because this marriage did not break me. I'm here to hold on because although I went to the doctor, I believe the report of the Lord. I'm here to hold on. I'm here to hold on. While away in preparing for this message, while away, man, I was just outside looking in the window, man, and I was on social media, and man, I was looking at everybody, all young people. There were so many young people that has passed away in this last season. And my heart became overwhelmed. Because how am I supposed to enjoy all the creation that God has given me right in front of my face, and there's a brother at home mourning the loss of his? How am I supposed to be excited because me and my wife have a wonderful marriage, and there's somebody else here holding on to the brink where they're about to lose it all? And I was encouraged. And I always use my daughter Morgan as an example because Morgan is my faith miracle. Where when we tried to do it right, it felt like wrong was still present. That moments in my relationship while in that NICU, I was asking God, why couldn't we just be like everybody else? And I'm trying to serve you. I'm trying to do everything right, and my daughter is clinging for dear life. Let alone 2 years later, we experienced the same thing, where we took precaution after precaution, where my wife was strictly, her diet was strictly disciplined, and we tried not to avoid it, only for us to get almost to the end, and we hear them say, you're going to have her early again. But not only that, scaring us to the point where they made it seem like it was either the life of my wife or the life of my daughter. And God gave me this perfect song that was meant for you. And I am not a singer, for those that thought they were going to see me sing, but I think I am. And this song is for you in this season. Now, I need for you to go ahead and don't try to record me. Don't try to put me on Church or Laugh, because I'm already about horse, and I'm going to blame it on my horseness. But it says, I'm going to see a victory. I'm going to see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm going to see a victory. I'm going to see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. And it said, you took what the enemy meant for evil, and you turned it for good. You turned it for good. You took what the enemy meant for evil, and you turned it for good.
Life beyond the break, OMG. Two different men of God, but same Holy Spirit. I don't know about you, but it spoke to me directly. Hey, look, man, today was amazing, as always, but I need you to know that none of this happens without your generosity. We have to have people who will share in that generosity so that we can give our best gift here in the city. So today, again, if it spoke to you, if there was something that you can relate to directly, if you ate, please share in your generosity. Hey, look, we do text to give, which is you just take your amount and text it to 84321. I personally have downloaded the Church Center app, and I just put my amount in there and press the button and it's there. But your generosity makes things go around here. And speaking of going around here, man, our pastor is away right now, but we are so thankful for just the leadership that Pastor Terry and Lady J have impressed upon us and has left us with, and we're just want to take an opportunity to appreciate them. Now, back to you. I know this message is something that you probably didn't take notes on because it was getting there. And so YouTube, yes, YouTube. Go find us on YouTube. Follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you need to go back to a message, you can go back and check it out, share it with a friend. Find us on Facebook as well. You know, we go live on Sunday mornings, and there's another opportunity to share the gospel. Hey, look, by the way, we always talk about church. Church is a verb. You know, we come in on a Sunday morning and we sit down or we watch it on TV, but church is a verb, and the verb starts with you. So today, man, take what you got, take what you've heard, and put it out into the world. Share this message with somebody. We are grateful that you decided to worship with us today, and we hope to see you again. But until then, have a great one.